Steipler Gaon had a thing where he would learn for 36 hours straight. 36 hours straight, he would learn. And then he would sleep for 8 hours, and then learn again another 36 hours. Meaning a day and a half. One time, it was time to get from Shidduch, to get married. This is still, he's a young person. Time to get married. Now the Chazon Ish wanted him to marry his sister. He knew he was a Talmid Chacham, and he wanted to set it up. Before the meeting, first time they're ever going to meet, the Steipler Gaon had one of his sessions of 36 hours. And he planned, he said, listen, I'm going to be on a train. So I'll sleep on a train for 8 hours. Studied for 36 hours. Just saying it is hard. Saying 36 hours is hard. He studied for 36 hours straight. No, he smoke breaks, went to the bathroom, ate lunch, maybe played with the kids a little bit. No. 36 hours straight. Studying Torah, toiling to get to Mount Sinai. And then people are surprised he had Ruach HaKodesh. After he studied for 36 hours straight, he got to the train, he's ready to go to sleep. But he saw on the seats, there was Safek Shatnez. Safek, there was like a doubt, maybe there's Shatnez on the seat. So he can't sit on Shatnez. What are you going to do? He can't sit. So he stood up the whole train ride and learned for another 8 hours.
So you're only tired when you wear it.
For Steipler Gaon is a different world.
I mean, he's not for it.
He decided to learn for the whole train ride another 8 hours, meaning 42 hours, 44 hours straight. 44 hours straight of Torah. So as soon as he got to the Shidduch, he said, hi, and passed out. So the girl, she got offended. She goes to, come on, this guy, he's not even excited to see me. He falls asleep. Chazon Ish says, no. If he fell asleep, that means he learned the whole time for the last 2 days. If he fell asleep, that means he was either going to die or fall asleep. Marry him, I promise you, he fell asleep on a date and he couldn't talk to you, but everyone is going to want to talk to him. She goes, yeah, but he's deaf in one ear. Because he may be deaf in one ear, because he got deaf from the war. He went to war, he got deaf in one ear. He may be deaf, but everyone's going to listen to what he says. He may be deaf, but everyone else is going to listen to what he says. She married him. But you see, the point is, Rabotai, is that when the Torah says to be a Chacham, to earn Torah, you have to sacrifice your life, it's not figuratively speaking. It's literally speaking. The Maharsha, who you see in almost every page in the Gemara, his commentary, he decided to grow long hair. But they say it's not good to grow long hair as a Jew. Why? You look like a woman, right? Don't worry, he wasn't trying to look like a woman. Why did he grow long hair? One time, somebody asked him, Kvod Harav, why do you have long hair? He didn't want to answer. It's not, tzaddikim don't disclose their secrets. So when they had to see it, what did they see? The Maharsha, when he was a child, he was considered a fool. So to overcome his foolishness, he had to study extra. He had to toil with Torah, because somebody that wants chokhmah, Hashem gives it to him. Doesn't matter how you start off. So he decided that the only way that he could overcome it is if he studied non-stop. That means that he couldn't afford to sleep. So he would put his legs inside cold ice water to keep himself up. But sometimes it's not enough to keep yourself up. So what did he do? He grew long hair. He grew long hair and he tied it to the wall. So as soon as his head fell down because he's tired, he wants to fall asleep, his hair would be pulled and he woke up. And that's how you become the Marsha. A lot of people tell them, oh yeah, I studied all day today. Oh yeah, what'd you study? Oh yeah, I watched Shiurim and in my car, and I hung out with the kids a little bit. So how long did you study for? Oh yeah, I did a lot today. How much? Yeah, I watched half of your shiur. So, Zaku Baruch. You're not the Marsha though. It's good. It's good. It's better than baseball and football, but you're not the Marsha. We're still waiting for that. Meaning, Rabotai, that to be a Talmid Chacham, to be something special, a person literally needs to be willing to sacrifice his life. Now, why am I telling you this? There's two reasons. Number one, because each and every single one of you has an opportunity to be one. For the men, each one can be one. Doesn't matter where you are today. It only matters where you're going to be tomorrow. Why? Decides what you do with this information that you got today. If you decide to continue making excuses for why you can't do it, or why you want to do it but you can't, or why you wish you do it but you can't, and why you're going to do it but not now, then you're not going to be anybody, and most likely not even a decent Jew, because you're just full of excuses. But if you at least try to be somebody, you may not be Rashi, you may not be the Marsha, you may not even be their shoes, but you definitely will be something special in the eyes of Hashem. And also in the eyes of Am Yisrael today. So each guy, each man has the opportunity to do it. For the women that are here, the opportunity is not necessarily for you to become Dvorah or one of the Shoftim of Am Yisrael that were female. No, the opportunity is quite different. Gemara asks, why do women go to Gan Eden? Why do women go to Gan Eden? They don't learn Torah. They just learn the basics of what they need to do in order to become a decent mom. Why do they go to Gan Eden then? It says for sending their husband and their children to go learn Torah. For sending their husbands and their children to learn Torah. It's difficult to not have a husband. It's difficult to send your kids sometimes to a faraway yeshiva. It's difficult to constantly force the entire family to go learn, even though you don't necessarily always get the benefit and pleasure of Torah yourself. The Rogachover Rebbe once said, you know, I'm going to go to Gan Eden, but not because of my own learning. Because of my wife. Now the Rogachover Rebbe, he was such a gaon that when he met Einstein, after a 5-minute meeting, Einstein left the room and he says you can make 2 Einstein with his brain. Einstein, that everybody, the Goyim and the Jews all respect, Einstein said about the Rogachover Rebbe, which was a Chabadnik by the way, you can make 2 Einsteins from him. I said to the Rebbe, what'd you say to him? He goes, no, you want to talk about his shtuyot. So I showed him how much I know about his own shtuyot. If he thinks I'm smart, come learn Gemara with me, I'll show you what I know. Meaning, if you think I'm 2 Einsteins about your nonsense, come see me with Torah. One time they invited him to a wedding. He only went because there was another big Chacham at the wedding. But the Chacham spoke his language, meaning they spoke just in sources. They didn't say the whole pasuk. They didn't say the page. They just spoke in sources. Page this, page this, page this, page this. But their battle was a fire. To such an extent, there was yelling and screaming. No, it's 67A on Sanhedrin. No, it's 47 2 on... And they spoke in a language no one else understood, but there was a lot of yelling. To such an extent, it went through the night. They started yelling at each other. They would knock on each other's doors at 3 o'clock in the morning. No, it's Brachot, page 7b. Half hour later, the other Chacham would come back to him. No, you're wrong. It's Sanhedrin, 3a. And this how it, to the point they made a Gzerah in the city. You're never allowed to invite both of them to the same wedding. Why? What are they going to be involved in the party? No, they learn Torah. That's what they do, learn Torah. But do these 2 in the same room, dangerous for society. To such an extent, his wisdom was so huge that when his mom died, he started crying, but she was older. And he said, Kvod Harav, why, you really were close to your mom? He says, you fool, you think I'm crying over my mom? I'm crying because I'm not allowed to learn Torah. Because he's Avel, he's in mourning, you're not allowed to learn Torah. I'm crying because I can't learn Torah. He got to such a point that after the 3rd day, after his mom died, 3rd day, he started learning Torah, which was a sin. but not a sin. Why not a sin? He says it became pikuach nefesh. If he didn't start learning Torah, he would die. He said himself, if I don't start learning Torah, I'm going to die. Alvay alenu. It's not that he wants it. He's learning Torah for what? He's learning for Hashem. He says, I have to learn Torah now, even though it's technically a sin in Torah, because it's not a sin. Why? Because pikuach nefesh. If I don't learn Torah, I'm going to die. Alvay alenu. But this very same Rogatchover Rebbe said something special. I heard from Rav Nisim again, Allah Shalom, something $1 million. He says, I'm only going to go to Gan Eden because of my wife. How is that possible? I just explained to you in several stories, this is a giant that couldn't live without Torah. Knew the entire Torah back and forth like we know the back of our hand. And you're telling me you're going to Gan Eden because of your wife? How could it be? He says, when I go up to Shamayim, they're going to tell me, no, what did you learn? I'm going to tell them what I learned. Say, you don't know how to learn. Get out of here. They're going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. They're going to tell me, I come up to Shamayim, they're going to tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. The biggest rabbi in the world says, I'm going to go up to Shamayim. In Shamayim, they have the whole truth. My version, in comparison to theirs, they're going to come to me and say, you don't even know how to learn. You don't even know how to learn. Not that you don't know anything. You don't even know how to learn, they're going to tell me, he says. How are we going to let you in Gan Eden? And then my wife's going to come. He says, yes, ma'am. Yes, Rabbanit. Gan Eden, please. For what? Married to Rogatchover Rebbe. She says, yeah, but he doesn't even know how to learn. He doesn't know how to learn, they're going to say to her. And my wife's going to say to them, it's my fault he doesn't know how to learn. Did I send him to Kollel every day? Did I send him to go learn every day? It's my fault he doesn't know how to learn. I send him to the yeshiva to go learn. It's not my fault he doesn't know how to learn. Gan Eden, please. Says, you're right. Tzadka mimenu. You're right. It's not your fault he doesn't know how to learn. And they're going to let her go to Gan Eden. But then she's going to start crying. And say, why? Oh, Rabbitzin, why are you crying? She goes, Gan Eden without my husband is a genom. Okay, they're going to bring me in because of my wife. Do you understand the chokhmah here? The giant of giants is saying, I don't even know how to learn. But I'm going to go to Gan Eden because my wife. That is the schut of a tzadikah that sends her husband to go learn Torah. Whether her husband becomes a giant or not doesn't make a difference. You still get Gan Eden. You could save the entire family. You could save the entire nation. Just send your kids to go learn Torah. Rabotai Karim, we see here that people spend an enormous amount of time and money and resources honoring all these doctorates and psychiatrists and degrees and all types of nonsense in the world. Very rarely do we see anybody honoring Torah. And the reason why is because a lot of us have this problem that we want to be like half Jews. We want to be like half Jews. We want to be a Jew, but we want to be like a little bit like a goy too. We want to learn Torah, but also watch football after. We want to learn Torah, but watch movies also. We want to learn Torah and do mitzvot, but dress like the goyim do. So the Chafetz Chaim, Allah Shalom, said, and we'll finish with this. He says, everyone sees the difference between fake flowers and real flowers. Everyone knows, in many cases, the fake flowers are nicer. Many cases, the fake flowers are nicer. Why? Because sometimes the real flowers have like a black spot, or they're a little broken. They're not like pure, like as soon as they grow. If they're fresh, they're beautiful. But if they're not so fresh, and then the leaf is falling, it's crippled, it's a Baal Mum, it's not always like 100%. But the fake flower looks like it just bloomed. He says, but the problem is, the fake flower doesn't reproduce. He says, the Chafetz Chaim says, everyone likes the way the half a Jew looks like. The one that's like keeping Torah and mitzvot, but really is like a reform. Really is like modern Orthodox. Really he has like watches TV half the day. He's like a fake flower. He looks more modern. The rabbi's more modern. He gives me high five. He gives me high five. He plays basketball with me. Problem is with the fake flower is it doesn't reproduce. The modern type of mentality, the secular type of mentality, it doesn't reproduce Jews. It reproduces goyim. If the father is going to play basketball, the son is going to worship basketball. If the father is going to talk about business on Shabbat, the son is not going to keep Shabbat at all. If the father is going to look at women that's not his wife, the son is going to marry a goya. Why? Nothing's ever enough. If you're going to be a fake flower, just so you know, you're not going to produce a real flower. You reproduce another fake flower. But the next one is much worse. And that's why the Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said, when someone came to him, he says, "What's a rabbi? What's a Rebbe?" The Lubavitcher Rebbe says to him, "A Rebbe, it's a friend. It's a friend. A Rebbe is a friend." So the person that came from far away says, "Oh, Rebbe's a friend? I don't need a friend. I have a bunch of friends. I have a bunch of friends." So Lubavitcher Rebbe gave him an answer worth $1 million. He says, "No, I think you're misunderstanding. If your friends knew everything you think about them, after they don't do business with you, after they don't give you a ride, after they annoy you, after all the things, if they all knew what you think about them all the time, would they still be your friends?" He says, "No." He says, "Exactly. The Rebbe knows you don't like him, and you hate him, and you don't want to listen to him, and you think this, and you think that, but he still stays your friend. Why? Because that's the Torah's obligation. If you want to pick a rabbi, pick the one that's going to tell you the truth, regardless of what your emotions are going to tell you to do. Regardless of what your Yetzer Hara is going to tell you to do, or what your mom and dad, and your friend, and your wife, and your husband, and your this one, and that one, they're all telling you to go against the rabbi. Trust me when I tell you, the rabbi knows. If he's a good rabbi, he knows that everyone is telling you the opposite. But you have to know, if he's a real rabbi, he's not going to care at all. He's only going to care about giving you Torah. Because that's the only thing that's going to save us. Be'ezrat Hashem, we spread this shiur, we spread the chokhmah, but also the yeda. All of the knowledge that we get from this shiur, not to ourselves only, but also to all of our family, to all of Am Yisrael, Be'ezrat Hashem.